According to Adam Schefter and Chris Lowe of ESPN, Bill O'Brien is back. Bob, as they called him in Houston. He is back with the New England Patriots. He will be the OC and quarterback coach for the Pats, and he will reunite with one Mac Jones and Bill Belichick there in New England. So how about that to start off your hour 3 of the program?
One hell of a tease, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Little Bill O'Brien.
One hell of a tease.
So
all that teasing for Bill O'Brien.
Well, look, man, it's important stuff,
Sean
man.
Payton into it.
I mean, there's an art to this.
It was like Collinsworth for a second? Collinsworth almost came out.
No, there's an art to this. Look, I'm sorry. I like to do this stuff and really play it up. This is called radio, man. Like, some people have lost the ability to do this
personally, I would like to hear Harry Carey say the breaking news to Bill O'Brien going back to New England, personally.
Hi.
That would be wonderful.
The New England Patriots have found their man, and it's not Sean Payton. The Patriots have hired Bill O'Brien. The acronym for Bill O'Brien is Bob. It's spelled backwards. It's the same thing. Hi. So if you're Mac Jones, are you happy about this? I mean, Bill O'Brien over. You feel like this is an upgrade over what was in place last year? Or what?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. I mean, this is an upgrade for Mac Jones. It's great for him. That's one side of the conversation. I think the other side is this is the 6th different offensive coordinator for Alabama now in the past 8 years. Think about that for a second. Think about the attrition that Nick Saban has to go through, losing coaches on his staff every single year. And it's odd because I look at it in 2 ways. As a recruit, you got to be thinking, like, I'm going to be – like, I guess I'm just coming for Nick Saban because whoever the OC is, it's probably someone different by year 2, year 3 that I'm there. That'd be tough to deal with. A different guy calling plays, a different personality, a different guy, and what he's trying to accomplish and do, or how he's looking at my technique and my fundamentals. That'd be difficult to deal with. So in one way, I think this is a great thing for a legend in Bill Belichick and the Patriots and what this means for Mac Jones, a former Alabama quarterback. But on the flip side, I think if you look for Nick Saban, it only makes his job that much more difficult at a time where they're no longer the top of the SEC. It's Georgia and Kirby Smart after winning back-to-back national championships. So it's kind of my 2 cents on it.
I think they've still maintained being very competitive and putting a lot of players into the league. And I think that's something that probably works to his advantage and to his favor. He also has like 10,000 coaches on staff. He has regular coach, assistant to that coach, an assistant to that assistant coach, quality control coach to those coaches, a quality control coach to that coach. That's a quality control coach. He has created a system that works for him at Alabama, and I think that's what's been able to keep him maintaining, even though he continues to have coaches elevate. I think it's been accepted that, look, Mike Loxley came, he left, took over a head coaching job. Kiffin came, he left, he took over a head coaching job. Bill O'Brien, he's left, he's going to take over an OC job.
Steve Sarkisian.
Sarkisian. It's so, Dable. I mean, it's so many of them, right? And so I think that it actually – if there's one program that actually you could say is immune to the idea of not having a coach that would be able to fulfill the needs of the incoming recruits, I would say it's Alabama. I would say that's one of the only places where I would say you could get away with something like this happening and it not being too debilitating to the program.
Yeah,
the problem is they're struggling now, to stay atop of the SEC. So it may not seem, because we still look at them as one of the top teams in college football, there's still the element of, well, they haven't won a national championship now in a couple of years, and it seems like they're not the team to beat anymore. So I would just argue that I think that the attrition that's been, with the constant turnover has started to catch up to them. And if I'm not mistaken, their DC left to go to, I think, Ole Miss as well. You're talking about replacing both coordinators now.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I would say I'll add this real quick, Jonas. I'll say this to that point. It has been Kirby Smart and it has been Georgia, but Alabama has still been fiercely competitive, and so I would give it a little bit more time. I mean, you got one of the best quarterbacks in the game coming out this year. They got Ja'Cory Brooks and company. They still continue to have guys that are making an impact. I will say that is a tough thing to overcome when you lose multiple coordinators, but I don't count Alabama out until they're out. I think Nick Saban has kind of earned that right. I mean, he was right there. I mean, how many losses did he have this year? 2?
Yeah.
Was it 2?
Yeah, by about 4 or 5 points.
I'm not going to say that's like you're out of the running to get back to the top of the SEC. I think we just got to wait and see if he's able to do it again. Now, if it's like 2 or 3 more seasons where he can't get it done, then you probably got to start having a conversation But maybe that's why Nick Saban was freaking out this offseason about how, the NIL has changed things and, what that represents. I don't know, but I'm not going to count them out yet.
So,
let me put it this way. They won in a span of 4 years 3 national championships from 2009 to 2012. And then as we got in the college football playoff, obviously it gets harder to that extent, right? But even like when you go through 2014 where they lost to the Buckeyes who ended up winning it, they won then 2 of the next 3, and they went to 3 straight. You now look at the fact – they went to 4 straight. You now look at since 2019, not quite the same. I mean, they missed the playoffs altogether. They now haven't won they haven't been able to get past Georgia in the past couple of years, and the only national championship they can claim in that span now is 2020 off that COVID year, which impacted teams a lot differently. I mean, Jonas throws an asterisk next to the Lakers that year. I'm just saying people kind of look at that season a little differently than, maybe they do other seasons. So I would just argue the difference. I think it is starting to catch up with them. And I think it's hard for any head coach. I think it's one of the reasons why you look at the Patriots taking a step back this past year and Bill Belichick hiring guys he knows in Joe Judge and Matt Patricia to come back. Ultimately, it was a mistake, which is why they're now bringing in Bill O'Brien, a guy they're familiar with who's part of that family and coaching tree. But I think that eats at you after a while. And it's one of the reasons why I think Saban's looking at trying to bring back a guy like Jeremy Pruitt and someone like that to coach the defense. Because you lose so many of those guys, you have to retrain them, you have to recoach them. It's incredibly difficult, and it's a lot of time spent on that side of things when you're still trying to recruit and you're still trying to develop young men and compete. So I would just argue the opposite. I think if anything, over the past 4 years, we've seen a little bit of a decline, and in part because of all the attrition. They're still getting top players. They got arguably the 2 best players in the draft in Will Anderson and Bryce Young, but they're not getting the consistent coaching. And I think those minor differences make the difference when you're on the road and you lose to Tennessee and, you end up having some other tight and close games.
Well, as LaVar laid out, if you want to revitalize your career, go be a coordinator in Alabama. So let me just throw this out to you, all right? Because there's somebody who probably needs to revitalize their career. So I'm just going to –
Sean Payton.
No. From Thailand to Tuscaloosa. Come on, Cliff. You can't ride an elephant and hang out with a rocket ship forever. Go to Alabama. Go to the SEC. All right, bring your guest with you. All right, come all the way out to Alabama. Little Cliff Kingsbury and Nick Saban in the same coaching room there, huh? How about that for Alabama? If you want to get back on track in both ways, Cliff Kingsbury and Nick Saban and the Alabama program, who's now playing second fiddle to Georgia, who's got a couple of national championships in a row. That's the move. You want to go get somebody, go get yourself a Cliff Kingsbury, guy who travels well and takes the best.
He ain't leaving Thailand.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna just take a. He ain't leaving.
Yeah, he's fine. He's going to go ahead and hang out there.